Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Carpenello Evening News. My name is Nick Fasanello, and my correspondent and affiliate is on assignment today, so I will be giving you a brief news report solo. Here at Carpenello News, we deliver you the most interesting and most relevant news that is regarding the Gilded Age. We're going to cover a large range of topics, ranging from populism to robber barons to industrialism and so forth. That is all relevant and interesting to each and every one of you. To start off, why don't we talk about the robber barons? It seems like more and more often we are seeing that the elite class of America is being bashed continuously. I apologize for that. It's a tricky topic to talk about because it's very controversial and the people above me might not be happy with what I'm saying. Wealthy men like Carnegie, Rockefeller, and J.P. Morgan are being bashed because of their immense wealth. Their wealth is stupendous, and really people are unhappy with that. In 1870, we know that the Atlantic Monthly, which is a publication news source, they let out the first trace of the term robber barons. Ever since then, every day these people are being bashed because they are becoming exceedingly wealthy because of the profits that they're making off of their profits. The profits are coming from the high-priced products that they're selling to people like me and you. Not necessarily do their prices have to be that high, but they can be that high because they need to make their profits. Because of this, people are rising against and being very, very unhappy about it. Things like the Sherman's Antitrust Acts, which are going to come up in 1890 and so forth, are really things that are coming up because of this, the robber barons, as you could say, and how people are unhappy with it. Could you imagine being a man of such honor and wealth in this nation and being bashed for it? That's crazy. But on another note, we could bring you a quick weather brief to get your mind out of that. So it looks like for the East Coast, we're kind of looking at a massive air pressure that's going to bring overall high temperatures to all of you listening to us. In the morning, of course, the weather is going to be a little colder and a little foggy, so it looks like you Yankees up north are going to have to saddle up your horses a little bit earlier than usual. Hope you guys don't mind about that one. Going back to robber barons, we could talk about populism. This refers back to robber barons. Populism is the idea where the common man of America, the average man, is rising against the American elitist class. Because of their high profits and the inconsideration that they're giving to people like the average men, they're going to rise up against the elite. Political parties are going to start to join, like the Populist Party and the Greenback Party that we know about now. Political constituents are going to pop up all over the place, and your average farmer Joe is going to become involved. Whether this is for good or for worse, they're changing the nation of our country. Talking about this, we could segue into industrialism. Every day, industrialism is on the rise in our country. Whether the economy is good or bad, we're seeing industrialism really rise. I guess you could say that since the gold rush of 1849, when people were rushing out to California and starting their own businesses to accommodate to the mass of people, people are inspired. Levi Strauss, for example, was someone who rose from nothing to create jeans. And you know what? He did very successfully with that. People like Rockefeller are also inspirations to many people. Although Rockefeller did state that the ability to make money was a blessing from the Lord, he's still inspiring people day by day. The South, which was once confined to agriculture, is now rising against the North in industrialism. Some could blame the railroads for kind of giving reason and giving way for industrialism to rise in the South, and others could blame the fact that the Civil War completely destroyed the South and they now have to do something to renovate money. Urbanism, that's another topic that we can talk about. Won't you admit that it's a little unexpected? At times, urbanism is going very high, and at times it's going very low. Urbanism in the Gilded Age, however, goes around this way. People from the West and the South are all heading to North and bigger cities where they could start working and start to get jobs and get money and supply for their family. Because of this, apartments are becoming exceedingly crowded, The conditions of living are not as good. It's dirty, and sickness is spreading all over the place. This is becoming more problematic every single day when we think about it. Although we, as in me and you, might be living comfortably in the city that we're in, it's a very hard life. Making less than $1 a month like the average person does, it's not easy to live and survive in our country. However, we can bring a moment of insight. Now we can start off with the morning read, which is something that we do every single day. It's the interesting part of news that we found from other news sources that we want to talk to you about. Well, we could talk about the railway strike. In 1877, 3 weeks ago, 1877, July 14th, the railway strike really started. This put thousands of people out of work, but here's the thing, that was by choice. Why? Why might you ask? Well, the conditions of working for the average person is very excruciating. Working long hours and having little pay and just dangerous work like they're doing on the railway. People are getting unhappy with it. And you know what? That'll cause people to rise against. The acts of violence and the strikes that are spreading all over the city are being shot down by the president when he includes federal force like the soldiers and the other parts of the army in our country. They're putting them in to stop all of this violence. In other news, we could talk about political machines and how they're popping up in election sites all over the country. A lot of people may say that it's making the voting process a lot more efficient, but others may argue quite the opposite. It's making the voting processes more corrupt because precinct officers are getting all of their candidates in office, which they want. Of course they want their candidates in office, so they'll sit inside the booths and make sure that you vote for the person that they're there for. One last thing that we can mention is Mother Jones. Of course, everybody knows about Mother Jones. She's a Dorothea Dix of miners in the labor force. She made her way into headlines again, of course, as she does very well. Because of the yellow fever, she lost her family and her children, and that was definitely hard for her. And because of that, she also lost her business in a fire. After that happened, she decided she had nothing left, so she joined the Knights of Labor Union, and she's changing the direction of miners in the labor field every single day. Thank you very much. It was great talking to you tonight. This is your evening with Carpenello News.